It is official. The Prime Minister of Canada, who has presided over a very challenged economy, I mean, we've had inflation, but Canada has frankly had it worse, and his liberal policies have just not worked. Don't forget how liberal he is, how distraught he was that America actually elected one Donald Trump. Let's go to some sound of him criticizing America for not electing the first female president and instead electing Donald Trump. This guy's out. It's official, breaking just now.
We were supposed to be on a steady, if difficult sometimes, march towards progress. And yet, just a few weeks ago, the United States voted for a second time to not elect its first woman president. Everywhere, women's rights and women's progress is under attack, overtly and subtly. But I want you to know that I am, and always will be, a proud feminist. You will always have an ally in me and in my government.
Of course, you just don't have him as prime minister anymore. So he has certainly become one of the most unpopular figures in Canada in decades, probably worldwide. He's leaving his party clearly very, very weak. His country's facing an uncertain economic future. Donald Trump has offered to take him in. We'll make him a state, he said. He's also, Donald Trump, promising to see tariffs on Canada as high as 25% on those Canadian imports, in part because Canada has not done its part to secure the border, and as a result fentanyl, etc., has flowed through, and this has been obviously a very, very big campaign point and sort of tenet of the MAGA movement, certainly from Donald Trump, who has made it very clear to both Mexico and Canada, like, listen, you guys either shape up and you take care of your borders or else. And so Trudeau now is, I think, probably one of the most epic examples, besides Biden, besides Kamala, of a progressive lefty who's just going down in flames because those policies have not worked. I think Canadians have not felt as safe. Canadians have not felt as secure economically under Trudeau's leadership. And so while he can sit there and project this message of kumbaya and, all the great lefty stuff that they get excited about, joy, etc., bottom line is voters felt like this guy just wasn't doing enough for them and for their basics. And so you've seen that the Liberal Party's poll numbers have absolutely plummeted in Canada, and voters are blaming Trudeau for sure for all of these rising costs. In fact, I think there's like a 20% spread difference right now between Conservatives and the Liberal Party there in Canada. And this is a movement that you're seeing happening all over the world. I'm here coming to you live from Switzerland, and I hear it sort of anecdotally here among especially some of the more Italian areas. So there's an Italian part of Switzerland that I was in recently. I was also in Italy recently and heard from so many people how they were hopeful that Donald Trump was actually going to help reset the course of the world, and that they felt more positive than they've ever felt, in part because Trump is now in office. And I thought of the irony of that, because here are the Europeans, right? And the Europeans are the Europeans, and you're thinking, well, they have their own kind of baggage and their own liberalness that has not served them well. And it's like they're coming to that realization. So you can make the same joke about Canadians, right? The Canadians, with their liberalness, they're also recognizing that these policies have not worked. The wokeism is a problem. You look at Europe, which opened its arms in part because Merkel was out there in Germany saying we need to take all these Syrians in. They did it in the UK. They did this throughout Europe, and it has become a huge problem because they can't support it. So economically it's challenging, politically, security-wise it's challenging, and they're coming to this realization. So Justin Trudeau officially out, breaking right now. He is gone. He is no longer the Prime Minister now of Canada. He is stepping down, and it shows you know what? Go woke, go broke, as they say. Chrystia Freeland had just stepped down, actually, quite recently, because she actually disagreed with some of Trudeau's spending propositions. She's kind of like, the treasury person in Canada. But I think it's a moment for us to all reflect on what they've done, right? The George Soros of the world. By the way, you just got the big Medal of Freeman. What they've done and how wrong they have been and how it just hasn't worked, because bottom line, people need sort of basics from society and from government. If you guys aren't going to provide it, then it's game over. And you didn't provide it. And this is part of the big reason why Donald Trump is now coming back to office. Again, this is a historic day. January 6th, 4 years after the fact, 4 years after protesters protested there on Capitol Hill. Donald Trump saying he's going to forgive them all, he's going to pardon them all. 4 years after the Democrats tried to ride that one all the way, I was going to say to the bank, but all the way to another 8 years. They tried to run Donald Trump effectively into jail or out of the country or into bankruptcy, however you want to phrase it. But they wanted to get rid of the MAGA movement for good. And instead, what has happened? Donald Trump has come back stronger than ever. If you think about it, he really is. Because if he had come back, or if he had just been elected, say, in 2020, and if the economy had had the challenges it had, I don't think they would have been as bad, but there were certain things in place that were cyclical, that were problematic. There was a lot of money that had been spent. Again, I don't think Donald Trump would have been so keen on doing more of that and all the regulation, etc. So we would have been in a better place, but I don't think people would have appreciated it. And now they really appreciate him. So he's coming in with the wind at his back, as we like to say, our Irish household, the wind at his back. And he's got so much in terms of possibility ahead. And it's not just in America. You look at what just happened now in Canada. Trudeau's out because conservatism is taking over the world. Giorgia Meloni, Prime Minister of Italy, being seen as somebody who can help lead Europe because she's conservative. She was just down at Mar-a-Lago, and she's meeting with Elon, and she's meeting with Trump, and she's thinking about how they can reposition Europe as a conservative ally with America. So this is a big deal. It's a very, very big deal. I should point out my dear friend Rob and partner at 76 Research was on it right now and got me that breaking news of Trudeau stepping down. We'll see how this is shaking out for the markets. I think the markets will certainly welcome it because this is frankly, this is some good news for the world. It's good news for the U.S. It's good news for Canada. And we do see that the market's actually trading up on the day here on this January 6th. The Dow Jones Industrial Average up above 43,000. A quick reminder, go check out 76 Research. You can get this newsletter for just $1 a month. Just use code word dollar. After the first 2 months, it goes up to $9.95. I think it's the best $9.95 you're ever going to spend because it's going to get you investing in the stock market.